Hey there, I'm Eric Roman, and I love to share tips with holistic leaders that want to be just as intentional and effective in their personal lives as they are in their businesses. So, tip today is that we are talking about the end of the year and the beginning of a new one. If you're leading businesses, what that means is that you got a lot of stuff on your plate. It's time for annual meetings and annual planning, right? Where you pull your executive leadership team together and you forecast what's going to happen and what strategies we're going to take in the new year. That's a big portion and a critical piece of what you do, and it sets the tone for everything that may occur in the next 12 months. Woo! That's a big deal. But you know what? Holistic leaders also know that we need to do the same things inside of our personal lives, be it our families or our peer groups. So I have for you, I believe, 4 tips today on things you can do to crush it, both holistically in your business and in your personal life with your end of year planning. First thing that I'm going to ask you to do is to name your year. Like, give it a title. As you look back on all the things that happened, I actually do this looking back and I do it looking forward. Something magical happens when we put names on things. When we give it a description, like a summarized description. This was the year of, like, what would happen 2 years ago? This was the year of the pandemic. Or what might it have been this year? This was the year of an amazing recovery for us. Whatever it might be, it is so powerful when you like button and package this entire 12 months up, put a little bow on it, and put that label there. Do you remember the year of the zebra? Yeah, right? And maybe that's what it is for you. I don't know. So think about that as our first tool. Put a name on this year and share that with your teams to describe what took place. Second thing that I'm going to recommend, you should be doing some type of clarity break or quiet time on a weekly basis to really stop and give your mind a chance to deprogram. When it comes to end of year time, I schedule extra clarity breaks. I go into like 3 or 4 a week, and sometimes I set the stage with what I want those clarity breaks to be about. I'll say, okay, Eric, this is the one where I need you to look back month by month at your calendar and think about all the amazing things that happened inside the company, right? The other thing, second task I'm going to ask you to do is to schedule some brief meetings with those most important people to you. So executive leadership team, spouse, family members, schedule some meetings and check in and ask that question. How did this year go for you? Like, what were some of the big accomplishments? Really having this opportunity, we're creating closure, right? And theoretically, we're also learning from what we find, right? So inside of my businesses, I would be amazed sometimes how when people would bring up topics, I'm like, wow, you thought that was a really big deal? And they're like, yeah, it was a big deal. And here's why. Realize, oh crap, you're right. That was a big deal. And I totally had looked past it. Same thing happens inside of my family with my kids. I'll be like, hey, what were the best things that happened to you this year? And I think it's this big, amazing trip that we took. And that's not the number one thing that they list. It's some other accomplishment that I consider to be much smaller inside of their life. But to them, it's big. And if it's big to them, then it should be big to me, and it should be big to you. So, third thing that we should be doing inside of these little check-ins and this clarity break is freaking celebrating. You had a bunch of wins this year, but you know what? Your judgment and your bias is clouded by all the negative crap that you're dealing with right now, that you have to get buttoned up, that end of year capital call you have to get taken care of. That's me. And you're forgetting all the amazing things that took place. You need to remember the obstacles that have been overcome. You need to remember all the things that you should be celebrating, and then you need to publicly acknowledge this with your team. We'll talk about that more in just a moment. Last but not least, when you're spending this time as you're finishing up your year, what do you think's coming next year? Because when you're a leader, your people are looking to you, whether it's in your home, whether it's in your business, whether it's in your peer group. If you're leading, people are looking to you for guidance. They're asking like, hey, Show us the way. Give us a little bit of an idea what's taking place. It doesn't mean that you have to be accurate or you have to be right, but this is what it means to be a CEO or a visionary inside of your life or inside of a business, is that your job is to set the tone for what you think is going to occur. So don't be afraid to tell people what you think is going to occur. And I discovered that one myself because I would get to my annual planning meetings and everybody would just kind of be looking around. And then I'd have to end up calling timeout. I'm like, timeout, do you guys want to know what I think is going to happen this year? They're like, yes. Well, why did we keep waiting till then? Start working on that now. Start projecting what you think will take place. Start projecting what barriers you think your company or your team or your family might run into the next year. And also start hypothesizing about what actions or initiatives or strategies might prepare you and your people to be able to get through it. Asterisk here. Think about how cool it might be for you to call a family end of year meeting. This is a priceless time for me inside of the Roman family. When we get together in this last week of the year, we celebrate, we have a fun dinner, we do something fun like activity wise, and then we sit around and we talk. Now we do family meetings every week. We can talk more about that later. But during this meeting, it's different. And this is us reflecting. We'll sit down and we'll put all of our photos off of our phones. We'll like project the whole year up on our TV and we'll start scrolling through and looking at some of the memories, and we'll laugh about so many of the funny things that took place. The big events, the big trips that we might have taken. And we'll also ask, we'll go around as a group and we'll ask each one of our family members, like, what were the most important things for you? What was the hardest thing that you had to go through this year? What was your favorite new thing? What's your best new relationship? And it's so powerful for your family to be able to share this with one another. I do ask some of these questions when I do one-on-ones with my family members, but for us to be able to share this together and for us each to be able to hear what the other people are saying, it really is priceless. And again, back to the purpose of this. This is where we package up everything that just happened inside of the year, where we quantify some of the lessons and the experiences that we have. We put that beautiful bow on it and we name it and we make it count. Last thing that I'm going to say inside of your end of year planning, consider the power of sending a love letter and a reflection letter that takes a lot of these items to your teams and to your people. I can go into greater detail and show you an example of specifically what I've done in my visionary love letters to my team at the end of the year, but just pause for a moment and think about and maybe write down some of this information you're coming across and think about how you can share it with the people that matter most to you to be able to create value for them and value for you, whether it's in your life or it's in your business. Eric Roman, I love to talk about holistic leadership. Try these tools and let me know how it goes.